The neighborhood, which is now known as Easton Village, was approved as part of a planned unit development. And with that approval, there was a list of 25 conditions that went with that approval. And they're quite lengthy. Some of them, it's probably 10 to 15 pages worth of conditions. And several of those conditions dealt with affordable housing type issues. And the one in particular that we're dealing with tonight had, originally there was a requirement that Elm Street build 25 homes within Easton Village, and the ordinance set forth the price along with an escalator of what those homes would be and some of the provisions of what had to be in the home, what they had to look like. I know that the town, as well as Elm Street, the Affordable Housing Board's been involved in for several years discussing whether that is the most appropriate way for Easton Village to be built out. And there were several concerns expressed related to whether, they have significant homeowners association fees, and the taxes based on the value of the homes might set up some low-income people for failure. And so there was a concern there, and the thought was maybe that money could be used better and to provide more affordable homes for more people. So with that rationale, there was discussions, and it was the proposal tonight is to take 15 of the original 25 homes, and instead of building a home in Easton Village, there would be a payment to the town for the town to use for other affordable housing projects throughout town. And so there are 15 lots that will be sold within Easton Village at market rate, and when that sale occurs, the town would receive either 80% of the sale price or $75,000, whichever is the greatest. So that's what the ordinance before you tonight is proposing to do.
I was just wondering if there hasn't been an affordable unit out there, or family hasn't gone through this. What prompted the change?
It's been so long now. I think we've probably been talking about this for 2 or 3 years that I don't really remember exactly what initiated it. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, who thought, what, does this really make sense to build these out there? Can't we use this money in a better way to produce more homes? But somewhere along that sentiment grew. And I'm not sure who initiated that original thought process.
Well, part of it came from the specific experiences of the Affordable Housing Board in trying to market the homes that were built in the West Side, and the difficulties almost always came down to financing. We could find, although they weren't they weren't standing in line, but we could find candidates for the affordable homes in the West Side, but we would over and over again run into difficulties with that applicant's ability to get financing. The town does not provide assistance for financing of these homes. It exacts a lower price, but the applicant has to find financing, and it has been a very, very difficult struggle to find people. And that we, including myself in the Affordable Housing Board, because I attend those meetings, the thinking was that difficulty, and then when you compound what Sharon was talking about, the homeowner fees, which we were told by the residents of Easton Village that typically they escalate up to 5% annually, and as Sharon mentioned, the assessment of property from 2008 until a year or so ago was not a concern because of the crash of that market, but that is now heading in the other direction. So there's a lot of difficulties for affordable housing units anywhere, and we figured with that homeowners association fee and the covenants for maintenance that went along with homeownership in Easton Village that would be setting up folks for foreclosure. We've got some on-the-ground models of how funds significant funds going in the Affordable Housing Fund could be applied community-wide. And we've got this renovation program, which is currently restricted to the west side because of one of the original exactions. But the money from this, should the council approve this, the money from the sale of those lots could be used town-wide.
That was my question. What's the plan? What's the Affordable Housing Board
Well,
going to do with the
The
funds
renovation
coming in?
program, which is underway with the money that we have that is restricted to the west side, we've had 3 successful small renovations to owner-occupied properties and 1 in the pipeline. New siding, new windows, new bathroom, safety issues, that's what that program is focused on. That can now be applied town-wide with significant funding. We also have the ability to do on a larger scale what we're doing out on Chapel Road with that lot and the house that we're going to put on it for workforce housing. So I think the real benefit of this is how it can be used community-wide and actually getting a lot more bang for the buck, I think.
But one of the things that does disappoint me about this particular ordinance is that we are not including all 25 units in the 75,000 or 80% of the sale of the lot. The good news is the Affordable Housing Board, and maybe Mr. Ben, I don't know if you are planning on talking, but I think it is when you say no. This will provide the town, through the Affordable Housing Commission, so much more flexibility at really addressing the concerns of low-income property owners in this town, and that is how to maintain their home. That is good for everybody. That increases property values in the neighborhoods in which homes are dilapidated because the homeowner cannot afford to keep it up. My probably naive understanding in having chats with affordable housing and others that have been involved in this was that the 15 or the 10 remaining lots would kind of be tabled, not touched, that once the 15 lots were sold, then we would reassess how that program has worked. And as a council, whoever is sitting here would then say, that is working great, affordable housing, yes, the money is being well spent, let's agree to extend this. And I would like to see that language in this ordinance if it is possible, because right now, and Sharon help me, how I read it is, number one, anybody who would meet the affordable home criteria now could go after a home in Easton Village. And the numbers have been really, really well vetted. I have to say, I was very concerned when I became aware of this because of the concern about whether or not we are setting people up for failure. And low income is kind of a misnomer. Really, affordable housing goes after working class people who might not be considered low income, but even with that medium average income, the fees associated with living in Easton Village would not be affordable, absolutely not be affordable. So we are setting people up for failure.
Joe Stevens, I'm here on behalf of Elm Street. Mike Burbaugh couldn't make it this evening, and he really did most of the discussions with the mayor, Mr. Ford, and the Affordable Housing Board. In regards to the issue about the additional 10, there's no time provision in terms of when those houses are made available in the ordinance, and I think that's somewhat by design back then, because it's such a significant program and has such large costs for the developer. It was somewhat intended that they were going to be able to do it towards the end of the project, because that's when they would have better cash flow. There is no provision that requires them to put those, and nor do they intend on putting those other 10 out there at this time. The kind of unwritten in this ordinance is this is the trial balloon. If this 15 works, we hope to come back to you again and to request the remaining 10 under the same program of 75,000 or more. Hopefully they'll sell those lots for more. In regards to the relationship with TPA, This project, as the councilman said, was highly contested and controversial, and took several years just to get approval through this council. And we also had the Talbot County Council to deal with as well because of critical area commission approvals. And so negotiations were done with TPA. There's similar provisions to what was in the original affordable housing ordinance that were addressed between TPA and Elm Street back in 2003. And right now, Elm Street wanted to move forward with this sooner, but negotiations took place with TPA. We were able to say, look, let's do 15. Everybody's of agreement that if that's successful, well, I can't say everybody, Elm Street's of agreement that if that's successful, they'll want to come back to you and the Affordable Housing Board and do those last 10. They won't be constructing those 10 while this trial is going on.
Basically, Kelly, if the council were to insist that all 25 be included, we'd wait another year. This would go back to negotiations between Elm Street and TPA over those other 10.
I'm not suggesting that all 25 be included. I'm suggesting that what is unwritten in this ordinance, the kind of, let's shake a hand on it agreement that these 10 lots will not be sold for affordable homes while the period of the 15 units are being sold. So what I'm saying is, why can't we say in the ordinance, after the 15 lots have been sold and Elm Street has honored its agreement to provide 75% or 75,000 or 80%, which is more, then we will reassess the 10, or do you think that would open it up for a reassessment in a future council to, I don't understand why that language can't be included. If that is ultimately the
I would say that I'd be concerned about it upsetting the negotiations that took so long to get you here today.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's one. Okay. The second thing I would say also is there's absolutely no incentive for Elm Street to do that because it's not just putting lots on the market, they build the houses.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no incentive for them to do that. This is kind of a win-win for everybody, and I would be very surprised if it came
Hard
back.
to get to this point.
No, I understand. I've
And
been
it's
involved in some of those
hard, every
conversations.
word in
Yeah, yeah, okay. I would just like to say for the record that I've never understood how TPA has been interjected in a conversation about affordable housing. I think that is absurd and ridiculous. It's a reality that I cannot change. I just want to share my opinion with the listening public.
One last comment. I'm Bob Crisfield. I live at 7881 Gatherley Circle, 1789, excuse me. I'm the treasurer of the Resident Advisory Board for Easton Village, and I just want to bring this back to the original point. The community, Easton Village, has costs that we have to pay, and everybody in the community is obligated under the covenants to pay those costs to run the community. For the type of house that is going to be built for the affordable housing, that amounts to about $1,600 a year, and that'll go up every year about 5%. In addition to that, the person that moves in is going to be obligated to pay $800 a year for 30 years for the municipal bond that that community has. Those obligations are over and above, I think, anything most people have factored in the analysis. What we're most concerned about from the community's perspective is setting somebody up for failure. You give them a house, or you let them to buy the house, and then the other fees that come online are overbearing for them. Currently, we have 3 people that we have in liens on the 86 homes that we have built already, and those people make far more money than the type of person that's going to be going in here. So our issue is not so much is fairness of putting somebody in and setting a vast number of them up for failure. That's the only thing I want to bring it back to.
Thank you.